The Divine Conspiracy Continued is written by Dallas Willard and Gary Black Jr., and Chapter 6 discusses moral knowledge and the role of morality. Morality is a topic that is rarely being discussed in secular society or education today and has been increasingly talked about less and less in the religious arena. One of the fundamental moral and ethnic teachings by philosophical thinker Socrates is that grace and humility are absolutely necessary when engaging in moral discourse. Dallas Willard suggests that the solution to the lack of attention and concern to morality is simply refocusing our minds and hearts back on the good of the good news. And we must also recognize that what is good is what is moral. The progression of modern philosophy has affected contemporary education and societal discourse to be indecisive. This phenomenon can be seen in the great difficulty people have when coming to an agreement on the most basic definition. In other words, an accurate description of almost anything can be called into question. An exception to this belief is when conventional wisdom is used to correct and redefine certain concepts, such as the women's suffrage movement and the apartheid. These concepts of freedom and equality were appropriately redefined. When definitions of things are changed from what they actually are, two things are likely to happen. The first is that when definitions do not represent what they actually are, they are more likely to cause more confusion. The second is that the result of this confusion causes individuals and societies as a whole to suffer because their errors and lack of knowledge keeps them from properly being able to discern their surroundings and thus progress as a society. By defining these concepts, Dallas Willard brings up a critical question he'd like to address, which is, what is truth? He then defines truth by stating that it is an enigma. Our problem is we do not always realize that the idea of truth is endlessly philosophical and deeply mysterious. We learn very early about the truth, partly for survival but also to flourish. For example, when someone says, "My car is white," we can discern whether or not we find this to be true. We also learn the truth from experience. For example, when you were young, your mother might have told you not to touch the stove, but curiosity makes you want to know why, so you touch the stove and find out that the truth is that the stove will burn you. Just how we can learn the truth, we also can learn how to lie. No one needs to be taught how to lie, it is simply a choice we decide to make. The thesis that Willard proposes is the role of morality in society argues that only an appropriate moral realization in the lives of our citizens and their leaders can make possible a good society under modern conditions. The qualities that make up a good or bad person are virtues and vices, meaning most people have weaknesses and most people have strengths. However, we rarely meet someone who is entirely good or entirely bad. We can only meet these characters in cartoons, where we see superheroes and villains. Willard breaks down what makes a good person by listing different qualities like a good person is thoughtful, pursues goodness not only for themselves, but goodness for others, and being a person that one can trust. But in total, what makes a good person is character. Moral persons have the capacity to shape and uphold lifelong commitments that pursue good. So, the moral of the story in Chapter 6 about moral knowledge is to be a person of good moral character and to pursue good. Thank you.